All right, so another concept that I want to talk about, and something I hear all the time when it comes to casting, when it comes to these tip videos, Steel has a bunch of videos on this, but it's this concept of map control. And what I want to go into is just, what is map control and kind of give you a ground up analysis of the concept of map control without going into like how do you get map control. Um, it's something that I want to focus on with this concept series is just giving you a ground up approach. It's something I learned when I was doing my biochemistry education, when I was learning, say, physics. It was really great to know the equations, but that wasn't enough for me to really understand and get the full feel and get the full use of it because I didn't understand where the equation came from. But once I went back and I understood the phenomenon and I understood the concept behind the equation, then that's when everything started to really piece together for me. So that's exactly the kind of approach I want to take here. So I'm going to use Dust 2 as an example here, and I'll just hop right into it. So every CS map is the same. Um, there's a reason why there are so few maps that actually make the cut into the competitive scene. I mean, we have what, 7 maps in the map pool? It's fall weather is getting my nose stuffy, but we don't have a lot of maps. And you have maps like, Season, and then now FMP one's coming out with Santorini, and they're all making these maps. They're trying to make the cut, but it's like it's so difficult to make a map. And one of the reasons is because of this concept of map control, and it's all based on timing and all based on the just the general how a map flows. So I can't draw on this map, can I? I can't draw on this map. I'd open a demo to make it work. Okay, so what is map control? So on every map is structured the same. You have your 2 bomb sites, you have your 2 spawns, and then you have all these areas in between. Um, and obviously the general purpose of Counter-Strike is to take the bomb site. But how do you do that? And the way these maps are set up is there are areas on the map which are not part of the bomb sites, but which are actively contested during the course of a round. And in general, on all the maps, typically the CTs get to these places first, but there are also areas like B Halls where the Ts just immediately have control of the area, but the CTs can in turn contest them. I mean, I've seen plenty of teams just flash their early round, flash their way, and just take over, B tunnels to get map control. So map control works both Ts and CTs, but it's very much more important for the Ts because typically the CTs are going to get to these points first. They're going to get to cat first. They're going to get to long first. And they're the ones who are going to try to hold these. And the Ts have to try and take this map control from them. So why are these areas so important? So these areas are so important, and I'm going to use Catwalk as an example. These areas are important because if the Ts are allowed to get control of Cat, look what they can do. Like, now they're on Catwalk. The CTs have no idea if they can be on Catwalk or not because they're not playing Catwalk. If they want to see if they're on Catwalk, they have to peek it, and they're not going to peek it because they're going to die. The AK is just going to one-tap their face off because that's just how it works. So if the CTs aren't contesting Cat or the Ts kill people and they take over Cat, now the CTs have less information, and that's another important part of map control is it's preventing the CTs from gaining information. And information is a whole other topic itself. It generally means how much knowledge does this counter-terrorist team have of the positioning, Kills for Terrorists too, of just the general positioning of the other team. That way they can work around it and hit the weaker bomb site because the game's all about hitting a bomb site and playing the bomb. So if the Ts have control of this, CTs don't know if they're there. So hypothetically, we'll go in. What if the Ts also took long early in the round? Now the Ts essentially have so much map control that there's no way for the CTs to know where they are. So say you got CT here, and we got 2 CTs in B. You got a CT here. If they have long control and they have cat control, where can the CTs play? They can't play here. They can't play on Goose. They can't play here. So they basically, the only place they can really play is on this ramp right here. So they really can't hold a site. They're just going to get, smoked out from here, and it's just, and then the long guys are going to come up, and the only place in a site you can really hide is behind this box right here, and that's a really awful spot because, I mean, once the T's come up here, they're just going to see that guy. So if you have cat and long control, you're going to lose A. A is going to be very difficult to hold. That's why in response to, say, a team that's taking cat, or if you see a team early round, if you're a CT and you're playing a 2-1-2, so say you got this. And the T's early round respond, just do this early long control, because you see a lot of teams do it. They just pop flash out, because generally the T's get here just a little itty bit later than the CTs. And the CTs don't have to go through choke points or anything, so this is still a CT-sided choke point. So if they're doing that, you'll see CT teams respond by taking B Hall's control. So they're probably sending 3 or 4 out long, because you have to hit it with numbers to take it, because you're not going to send 1 or 2 and contest 2 CTs. It's a CT-sided game. You're going to lose that fight, especially coming out this itty-bitty door coming out. So they respond by taking map control here. And if the CTs, just in any round, if the CTs have B Hall's control, I mean, you basically limit the T's. The only way they can take B is through mid, which can be contestable from A. Even if you smoke it out, there's still area above the smoke. You can have a CT guy in CT spawn sitting in the box here, and it's not reasonable to try and take B, because you're not pinching. The CTs can just wait here and peek you from tunnels and are protected, and it's just not reasonable to try and take B if you don't have B Hall's control. So instantly right off the bat, the CTs have B Halls. I mean, you're fucked pretty much. You have to go A, and that's enough information. So if the CTs then have B Hall's control, they're just going to put all the rotates back to A, because they have to go A. So generally, that's why it's important, and that's why, just to extend off my other video that I made, letting the round develop, one of the most important things in Counter-Strike is just the fluidity of a round and understanding this idea and concept of map control on your T side, understanding that you should work, you have a minute and 45 seconds, well, that's the entire round. Like, you have a minute basically to work into taking control of these things, and set a plan. If you want to work towards A, try and take early long control, and then take late cat control or something, or just prevent the CTs from taking B Hall's control. And if you have cat, so you're in a round, and if you have cat, now you can just throw all your stuff off cat, and you're going to force a rotate from CT spawn towards A because he thinks it execute, and then you can do fakes, and you can come into B. So that's something you see all the time, is once they have cat control, there's really no way of knowing where the T's are going to go. And so on this too, catwalk is very important. On every map you have areas like this, so overpass, actually, I'm just going to go into and show you these maps real quick, so I'm going to stop. So overpass, another great example of this idea of map control, and just to give you a second example of a map that uses map control. So if you played overpass, you know how this goes, but generally, you have the bomb sites, and then you have all these areas that aren't part of the bomb site. So long A, bathrooms, connector, short B, sort of monster, not really, but I'm going to focus on this connector area and short B. So when I do overpass, when I do it with my team, when I do it with practice, I always put my emphasis with default rounds on this area right here, on connector and short B. And these two areas are extremely important, because if I have control of these areas, I can either go bathrooms or I can go to B. And just like catwalk on D2, if I have it, there's no way for the other team to know where I'm going. So what happens here is the CTs get here first, and they're able to contest it. And here, generally the T's and the CTs get here at the same time, but the T's get here just very slightly earlier than the CTs. That's why you have people who smoke this tunnel out right there to prevent the T's from going out. But either way, if you have a guy just pop flash over and this guy pop flashes through, this guy trying to run down to get control here, it's going to be quite difficult. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you send 2 or 3 people there, you're going to be able to take control of that area. So generally, the CTs, they're either going to contest connector or they're not. Um, and that's important. And if I in turn say I have connector control and I have sharp B control, I mean, they can jump spot it and get information, but I mean, that's about all they can do. They're not going to come back and try to retake it. So I have control of this area now. Now I can send people towards bathrooms, and I can just have people come upstairs. So suddenly, now I've limited, or I've gained, by having this map control, I've gained another entrance to bathrooms. So no longer are CTs just staring at these 2 choke points right here. They have a third one to worry about. So in response to that map control, CTs usually will come back and they'll play more passive because it's very hard to stop 3 or 4 people coming up all these areas, because this guy's going to kill this guy right here. Coming out, he's got this angle to look at, and he's going to look there, and these guys can look here and into bathrooms, and this guy's coming over here, and he can look into bathrooms too, and like there's all these angles that the CTs can't watch all at the same time because they probably only have 2 or 3 there. 3 tops. You're not gonna have 3 people holding the bathrooms. So just by having all this area, I not only can take this area much more easily, I can do whatever I want. So it's very easy to throw fakes. I can do a 3 smoke execute on A, smoke all that out. I can force a rotate off of B, and bam. Then I just go to the B bomb site. I send everyone back down connector, and now there's a rotate and tranny, or the transition area here is what I call it, is this area right here in the back of B bomb site. And he's in the stairs, and he's away from the bomb site. So by having all this map control, it basically allows me to not give. By having map control, it doesn't allow the CTs to gain any information on what the Ts are doing. And since this is such an information-based game, having map control in any given round is extremely important. In teams, especially like if you have a high tier team playing a low tier team, and if the low tier team doesn't understand this concept of map control, both on T side or CT side, like on CT side, if they're allowing the Ts just to take map control because they're scared to fight them, these T-sided, high tier teams, they're just going to destroy you, because if you give them all the map control, you have no information. So your rotates are going to be screwed up. You have no idea how many are going where or how they're attempting to take a bomb site. And just without any information is boring. Without any information, you have no idea how to hold the bomb site. And same just with Ts. If you have all this map control, you can screw with the CTs. Now the CTs have no information on what you're doing, so just play with them. Play with their minds. Use your nades. Use your gunfire. Distract them. Try to pull rotates, and ultimately, if you have full map control, you have a very good chance of winning the round. And on the opposite, if you're a CT with a lot of map control, you're going to funnel the Ts into going towards one bomb site, and you know where that is, and you can just stack it. So taking map control is a concept all on its own. It varies from map to map how you approach it. Maybe I'll do that in a later series, but just having an understanding of how the maps in Counter-Strike are set up, because they're all set up very much the same with the 2 bomb sites and then all these areas in between which are contested, and then having this area, having this understanding map control will just improve your team much better. This isn't so relevant in Pugs. Pugs are a lot of deathmatch, but if you have a team, don't focus so much on these strats. Don't focus so much on these big smoke executes. That's something that Sean Gary taught me, is that these big executes don't really work. So you just have to go and just do a default, on overpass, send 1 guy here, send 2 guys through here, and then just have 2 guys come through playground and just try to get information and spot the bathrooms, and a guy down here or something, and just work this area right here, and just try to take control of this, and then work into trying to take control of bathrooms. And that's all you need to do, really, if you have a team. You don't need to worry about taking the bomb sites. Worry about contesting these choke points. And once you get good at contesting these choke points and gaining all this ground, then you can go into learning about executes and strats and inside executes. But it's very important. Don't focus on taking the bomb site so much as focus on taking control of these areas here. So thanks for watching. I hope to do more videos like this.